Welcome to a place where hearts unwind, infinite threads that gently bind, love and compassion in every line. Together we rise through space and time.
Hey, welcome back to Infinite Threads. I'm your host, Bob. Yesterday we talked about love as a force, not just something we feel, but something that moves through us, something that can change the direction of a moment before that moment becomes another wound. Today, I want to think about the place where that force may be most needed. The pattern. Every life has patterns. Some are beautiful. A morning kindness, a familiar call, the way someone always checks on the people that they love. Those patterns become part of the shelter that we live inside. Other patterns are heavier. A sharp word gets answered with another sharp word. A child grows up hearing anger, then carries that same anger into rooms years later. Or someone is hurt and without meaning to, they hand the hurt to the next person. That's how pain travels. Not always through dramatic cruelty. Sometimes it travels through tone, through silence, through the reflex that we never stopped to question. We tell ourselves, that's just how I am. But sometimes it's not who we are. Sometimes it's only what happened to us looking for somewhere else to go. Think of it as something like that. That's where love can interrupt, guys. Not with a perfect speech and not with a sudden transformation that makes everything easy. Most of the time the interruption is small. A pause, a breath. You know, we've talked about it so many times. You just take that moment. A decision not to say the thing we know would cut. That may not look like much from the outside, but something powerful has happened. The old chain reached us, and for one moment, it didn't continue in the same form. Love stepped into the pattern and changed what came next. I think about how hard that can be. I can feel how hard it can be. Patterns feel familiar, even when they hurt. The body remembers them. The mind reaches for them before we have time to choose sometimes. We may promise ourselves that we will respond differently, then one stressful day pulls the old reaction right out of us. That doesn't mean we're hopeless. It means healing asks for patience. A pattern that formed over years may not disappear because we noticed it once. But noticing is not nothing. It's the beginning of freedom. The moment we can say this is a pattern, we're no longer then completely inside it. A little space opens up, and love needs space. It doesn't always need a lot, but just enough for one different choice. Maybe that choice is a softer answer too. Maybe it's walking away before anger takes the wheel. Maybe it's admitting, I learned this somewhere, but I don't want to keep living from it. There's courage in that kind of honesty. It's much easier to blame the next person. It's easier to act as if our reactions are simply the truth. But love asks us to look deeper. What am I about to pass on? Is this really mine to give? Could this end here? Those are difficult questions, but they're also holy ones. Because there are moments when the future depends on someone refusing to keep repeating the past. A family can change because one person learns to apologize. A friendship can be saved because someone chooses curiosity instead of accusation. A child can grow up in a different emotional weather because an adult decided the old storm would not be the only inheritance. Guys, that's not small work. It may be some of the most important work that a human being ever does. Love interrupts the pattern by refusing to treat harm as destiny. It says the wound was real, but it doesn't get to be the author of every sentence that follows. It says the anger may have a history, but it still needs to answer to the life we are trying to build. Fear can explain us, but it shouldn't rule us. I like that thought. Fear can explain us, but it should not rule us. Many of our hardest patterns began as protection. At some point, they may have helped us survive. Silence protected us. Defensiveness protected us. Control protected us. Keeping people at a distance protected us. We don't have to have those parts of ourselves. They were trying to help, but survival tools can become prisons if we keep using them after the danger is changed. Love helps us recognize when a locked door is no longer shelter, but loneliness. It helps us notice when the old armor has begun to bruise. When the old armor has begun to bruise the people who come near us. That kind of awareness can hurt. It's humbling to realize that we may have repeated something that we never wanted to become. But love does not humiliate us when it tells the truth. It invites us to turn. That's different. Shame says this is what you are. Love says this is not all you are. There's a doorway in that difference. We're not trapped inside the first version of ourselves, and we're not obligated to keep repeating what was handed to us. The love force keeps moving toward healing, and sometimes healing begins with the simple refusal to continue a pattern that's already taken too much. Of course, interrupting a pattern does not always mean the other person changes. We know that. We don't control that. But it's important to know. We can choose a different response and still not get the response that we hoped for. We can offer honesty, patience, or repair, and the other person may not know what to do with it. Love's not a guarantee of control. It's a choice about who we become. When love interrupts the pattern, the first change may happen inside of us. We stop cooperating with the old script. We stop letting pain borrow our voice without permission. We stop treating bitterness as if it has earned the right to lead. And that in itself, guys, that's a quiet victory. Maybe no one applauds it. Maybe no one even notices except us. But the soul notices. And over time, those small refusals begin to form another pattern, a better one. The pause becomes more familiar. The apology comes sooner. And the sharpness loses some of its power. The heart learns a new route. That's how change often happens, not in one shining moment, but through repeated acts of return. We return to patience after we speak too quickly. We return to honesty after hiding behind pride. We return to love after fear tries to make the room smaller. That return's not failure, it is practice. And practice is how love becomes part of our muscle memory. This is how you build this to go back and do it over and over. I think this matters because so much of the world is built on repeating harm. Publicly and privately, people keep handing pain forward and calling it strength. Someone humiliates because they were humiliated. Someone controls because they were once powerless. Someone refuses mercy because the mercy was never offered to them. That's a pattern. The old pattern says, make someone else feel what you felt. Love says, let the wound end here. And that's, I guess, a radical thing. It may be the closest many of us come to changing history with our own hands. Not history in the textbooks. The smaller history that lives in families, friendships, workplaces, churches, communities, private rooms of the heart. Every time love interrupts harm, the future shifts a little. Maybe only for one person. But one person is not a small thing. A single life spared, one more wound, may become a life that wounds less. A child who receives gentleness may grow into an adult who knows how to offer it. A person who experiences mercy at the right moment may begin to believe they're more than their worst day. That's how love travels, thread by thread and choice by choice, moment by moment, though often quietly enough that history never even records it. So you don't see that happening, but it's happening. So today, maybe we can look for the pattern that is asking to be interrupted. Not with self-hatred, not with panic, but with honesty. Just with honesty. Where does pain keep repeating through me? Where does fear keep choosing my words? Where could love enter the moment before the old reaction does? And we may not catch it every time, but starting to think like that, build that muscle memory of catching those things. We'll still be human tomorrow, but even one interruption matters. One pause can keep a wound from growing. One apology can become the first brick in a bridge. And one act of mercy can prove that the old pattern is not the only road left. That is good news, because none of us has to be perfect to let love move through us. We only have to become willing. Willing to notice, willing to turn, willing to let something better happen next. Thank you, guys. Thank you for spending this time with me on Infinite Threads. This is something that I've been working on myself for a very long time, to build that muscle memory. Love does not erase every pattern in an instant, but guys, it can enter one moment, then another, until the old chain begins to lose its hold. And when love interrupts what pain was trying to repeat, the future gets a chance to breathe. I love you all very, very, very much, and you know what I need you to do. Go out there and pass that on, okay? Later, Gators. Bye-bye.